All right, welcome everybody to our PMI Chicagoland PMI ACP study group. So this is kind of a good step that you guys have taken to, get together and share your experiences and participate in these sessions. I did throw together a brief PowerPoint, so I will share my screen that will guide our discussion for today. All right, and feel free to kind of chime in, participate, and let me know if there's any questions you have as we go through this material. All right, so kind of a bit of an informal sort of agenda for today. We're going to go through some introductions. We're going to talk about what the scope of the study group is, what we're going to cover, what we're not going to cover, what the purpose of it is, what you kind of would expect to gain out of this. We're going to talk about some important references, and we'll have a group discussion about how we best learn. And then we will move on to talking about what a proposed agenda would be week over week. And then there's something that we've prepared called a participant's pledge. It will kind of help enforce what we expect of you and what you expect of us so that we can gain the most out of these sessions. And then we'll do a meeting review and recap and talk about how our next session is going to go. So with that said, let's do some introductions. Let's give us your name, a fun fact about yourself, and then let's talk about what your Agile experience and training is and what you expect to gain from this group. So I'll kick it off so that you guys have some framework and also some time to think about your responses. So my name is Saad Faruqi. A fun fact about myself, I love traveling by chance as well as on purpose. I was born in Pakistan. I grew up in Saudi Arabia. Then I went to college in Cyprus, and I moved to the US in 2001. So not only did all of my life leading up to that was a lot about travel, but ever since I came to the United States, I've been traveling around as well. I've been in, I don't know, maybe 30 or so odd states. So love traveling, was in Mexico last year, and was in Turkey a few weeks ago. So that's a fun fact about myself. Agile experience and training. So I have been operating as a Scrum Master right now, currently in my day-to-day life. I've also, currently I work for Volkswagen. I'm a Agile project manager there. So I do Scrum Master duties on a day-to-day basis. And in the past, I've also been a Scrum Master at other organizations, including BMW. Training wise, I have my PMI ACP certification. Prior to that, I also attended a class 4 and passed the CSM certification. So I'm a certified Scrum Master as well. And I have multiple SAFe certifications, Scaled Agile. So, and those are specific to Agile training that I have. What do I expect to gain from this group? So I have been running a few PMP study groups for PMI Chicagoland, and those, have been. I've always enjoyed not only sharing my experience, but also seeing you guys succeed as you prepare for the exams, and send me notices on your success, as well as I enjoy answering any questions that come up on a day-to-day basis and kind of helping you guys chart your journey as you go through into the PMI or PMI ACP or PMP exams as it applies. So that's a little bit about myself. I know we do have Cynthia with us as well. Cynthia, do you want to say a few words and introduce yourself before we hand it off to the participants? I'm putting you on the spot. You're still on mute, Cynthia.
Gotcha. And you know me, I always want to speak. And I was on mute. But I just want to, without going through that format, I'll leave that format, which is great, that Saad has put up with you for the introduction. But as Saad mentioned, and I've spoken with many of you, I am Cynthia Davis. I am the Director of Certifications for our chapter. And we do I want to join in with Saad in welcoming you to our first chapter Agile study group. And this year, our chapter is doing a lot of firsts with Agile in that you are a part of certainly the Agile study group, but on March 25th, excuse me, March 26th, we're going to have our first Agile conference. And right now it is scheduled tentatively as an on-site event. However, it's subject to change to a virtual, but nevertheless, you can actually find out more details about our conference on the chicagoland.org site and look for the event March 26th. But getting back to the study group, as Allstate would say, you're in good hands with Saad. You know, as you can tell, he has a lot of travel experience, plus he has a lot of project management experience, inclusive of Agile. So he's going to do his part, and we are expecting you to do your part. So we're expecting you to be in regular attendance as well as participating as appropriately. And have fun. And then at the end of the 8 weeks, we're looking forward to you saying that you understand the material to the point that you feel confident to take the exam and will pass it. So best wishes to each and every one of you. And certainly if there are any opportunities that you want to just say hi or let us know what the progress is, please include me too. You may see me from time to time on the sessions. If I drop out, it's not because I'm bored. It's only because I'm just dropping in, you know, to not so much monitor, because I know Saad is going to do an excellent job, but I'm interested in this subject myself as I am trying to get my certification for this particular certificate. So welcome again, enjoy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cynthia.
Hey,
With
I'll
that,
go.
yeah.
Charles Hill, and I'm in Lowe's right now. Sorry about that. I couldn't just not be here. I'm in the middle of doing something. But a fun fact about myself: I was a backpacker for about a decade, not that long ago, all over the world, many countries. So it's a long story there. I plan to write a memoir about it. Agile experience. Well, so for the recent Agile experience, I would say 3 years direct, which is even current. But prior to that, many years ago, I was with FedEx in a research and development environment. So we were doing Agile, but that was long ago, and that experience won't count for my application for the PMI ACP. I have PMP, I have CSM, and working on this PMI ACP. What do I expect to gain from the group? Well, I took the study group for the PMP, which PMI Chicagoland, and I think I'm looking for just some camaraderie and just exchanging ideas in a, I would say, less formal manner instead of just studying by the book, just study. And I think that camaraderie and exchange of ideas will help drill in the material. So that's what I expect. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Charles. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Sure. Hey, David.
How's it going? How's it going, everybody? Good afternoon. Yeah, my name's David Rico. Fun fact about myself. I love doing like hard, extreme physical activity. Back in August, I ran 26.2 miles and did 4,000 push-ups for charity. Super fun time. So that describes, just about me, what I love to do. Currently trying to prepare for the triathlon in Chicago. So that's what I'm doing. Agile experience. I just started my career in project management a few years ago. So I've been trying to really grasp more on website development and how to bring, landing pages using Agile methodologies. Training, I have an Agile marketing certification. So it's been really helpful, but I'm also looking just to dive more deep into more software development. That's where I see my career going. What do I expect to gain from this group? I expect to gain just like a lot of collaboration, all of us sharing our learning experiences. And yeah, that's what I'm looking to get out of this group.
All right. Thank you, David. All right. Who wants to go next?
You on
Jim?
mute. You on
Jim,
mute.
you're on mute. Jim, you are still on mute.
Okay.
You back on mute.
How about now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Nice to meet everyone. I'm Jim Smith. Fun fact about myself, I'm kind of a old timer. I've been in healthcare for over 35 years, done project management and have led many clinical folks in the post-acute rehabilitation world, and then got into healthcare technology, et cetera. And my Agile experience actually has been only probably the last couple years in my new employer. At my new employer, the organization is adopting this Agile mindset, and so there's a lot of on-site training for me there, as well as collaboration with some of my colleagues. And so I've been trying out mindset. I did go through PMP training in the past. What I want to gain from this group is tips and tricks and ways to really comprehend the material and to understand and apply it. I'm not a great test taker. I have test anxiety, and I have been studying. I've read the book a few times. I've taken an online class, blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking for collaboration. I'm looking also to support others from my experiences, and then to get some tidbits from you as well.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll take the baton and go next. My name is Andrea Pratt Smith. I am presently located in the Bahamas. That's where I live. A fun fact about myself, I wouldn't say that I don't know how to swim, because that wouldn't be a fun fact. That'd be an embarrassing fact. A fun fact about myself is that I am a professional student. I love to learn. My Agile experience is that I am a PMP. I have my CSM, TKP, Say 5 Agilist. I just got that a few months ago. And I'm on this journey for the PMI ACP. As far as training, I normally just study by myself and take the exam. I don't necessarily do well with boot camps, but I was interested in just participating in this study group to collaborate, like others have said, and to learn tips and tricks, like Jim said, and to be able to pass the certification exam and just learn, continue learning.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. I think we have Edward and Vitas left.
Yes, so this is Eddie. I'm in Rural Public Library right now, so I have to wear face masks. So I've been part of a basically a project manager since, I would say, about 15 years. Fun fact about me, I would say that I love serving and giving. I've been a youth pastor for about 15 years, men's group, just serving. Helped with Habitat Humanity over the summer, which was really a great experience, helping build out homes for people who are in need. My Agile experience, I have my PMP, I have my CSM. I've led projects where I've had a Scrum Master under me, as well as I've been a Scrum Master a little bit. What do I expect to gain from this group? I think that everybody has a different approach to networking, to collaborating. I just think that for me, I love listening. I love learning through listening, and I hope that wish we were live instead of on Zoom, because you can gain more communications from being in a room. But I just want to just be able to say I know you if I see you at the symposium. That's another fun fact about me. I've volunteered, I think 3 out of the last 4 symposiums for the PMI chapter. This year I took a break because it was in December. So that's pretty much my experience.
Thank you. And you go by Eddie, did I hear that right?
I go pretty much about any variation of it, Ed, Eddie, or Eddie. When people call me Ed, it's kind of weird because that's what my family call me, but professionally people call me Eddie or Edward. It doesn't matter though for me.
All right. Thank you, Eddie.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Vitas Dallas, so that's the way I pronounce it, Vitas, but I'm here in Chicago, been a member of Chicago chapter of PMI for quite some time, PMP certified. I actually have a Scrum Master certification, so it's different than the CSM, it's the SMC, which, so I've done a little bit of training. It was mostly online for that. So I definitely wanted to get something more substantial, I guess, and that's why I'm here for the ACP training from PMI. Have worked on some Agile projects many years ago at John Deere as a Agile Scrum Master, even without the certification. More recently, working with the Department of Defense, trying to move them away from iterative or waterfall development towards Agile. So we did some scrums there, and most recently with First Alert in Naperville, Illinois. So, I have some recent training, but also wanted to understand, and that's why I'm here, really to understand the topics, the process, learn from each other, share experiences with each other, translate from traditional waterfall to iterative to Scrum and Agile, and even maybe discuss. It may not be part of the exam, but what's beyond standard Agile, things like that. So I'm happy to be part of the initial release of this, and hopefully it goes well, and wish everyone success in their tests. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. Happy to have everybody on board. This seems like a good group, and we all have common goals, so we'll work towards it. So speaking of, how is this study group going to be arranged, and what are you going to gain out of it? So our assumption is that you've already completed the formal Agile education requirement, and at the same time also have the experience requirement to take the exam. So as PMI defines it, those are 21 contact hours. So nobody's coming in fresh, not knowing anything about Agile. You have some baseline knowledge covered by some formal experience. And we're going to have these virtual meetings, of course, on Zoom, as you can see. We're gonna have them for 8 weeks, and this is how those weeks are gonna be broken out. So they're arranged by exam content outline domains. If you go onto the PMI website, and I'll show you in a little bit, and download the exam content outline, which I highly recommend everybody does. This is how those domains are broken out. And so we're going to cover in the first week Agile principles and mindset, move on to value-driven delivery, then stakeholder engagement, team performance, adaptive planning, problem detection and resolution, and finish it off with continuous improvement, product, process, people. All right, I'll give you a minute to kind of consume that information and pause for any questions. So, like I stated before, I have been leading a lot of the PMP study groups for PMI Chicagoland. So what I've seen that people gain most out of these study groups is you kind of develop a cadence for your studying. You know, you have these bits of pieces of knowledge, even through formal education, if it were, but you need that final push of like 8 weeks, let's say, to study together, to keep up with each other, and, you know, take it bit by bit, chapter by chapter, so to speak, or topic by topic, domain by domain, whatever you want to call it, and prepare to give the exam in like 8 weeks if it were. Maybe you want to spend some extra time reviewing that information, but it will at least give you a cadence, which is very important in my opinion. It also gives you an opportunity to network with each other, to say, hey, what are you studying? Do you want to do? And kind of develop that rapport with each other. And with that networking comes ideas and tips and tricks that everybody will be exchanging. And you can collaborate on study materials as well. I'll tell you what book I studied from, and I'll show you the reference materials that PMI has on their website. But more importantly, you guys will tell each other and me what books you used, or what study materials you used, or what Udemy course you picked up, so that, you know, we kind of have an idea of what is kind of what is reputable as far as gaining that knowledge going towards a PMI ACP exam. So let's open up to a bit of a discussion point. Like, what have you guys thought of? Like, what have you seen has worked for you in learning towards taking a test or learning a new subject? How do you guys learn?
I will respond, I guess. I learn by teaching. Like if I'm weak on a subject or some aspect of a topic, once I know I'm going to have to present it or teach it to someone else, I know that I have to really grasp the concept and know it. And so I learn by teaching.
That's a very good point, Andrea. And a quick note on that, like that's why we ask you guys to lead these sessions. And not only that, but sometimes I recommend that you guys pick up a topic that you're weakest at, i.e. don't pick a topic that you're strongest at, but pick a topic that you're weakest at, so that it'll force you to prep. What else? How does everybody else learn?
I'm more of a visual learner. Repetition, and also consuming various books. It's just not just one book. I learned from going through my first PMI experience, taking a test, that you need multiple books and get information from multiple sources. But yeah, that's basically visual. And then also for me, I actually bought the chart and put the chart up on the board. Big chart, flow chart with all the different domains. That helped out a lot. And then acronyms, utilizing acronyms to help me remember. And then the last point is, I didn't think that brain dump was really that important back when they allowed you to do it. But it helped me so much when I actually just forced myself to do it before the test.
This is Jim. I don't learn best by reading, quite honestly. I am a visual learner. I am a doer. I learn by doing. I learned by the seat of my pants. I learn by observing others and listening to others. My compensation for the reading is I force myself to read, but I also I create study guides flashcards, cheat sheets, things like that. I've also have done like an online tutorial, which allowed me to, stop and listen and pause while I took notes, and kind of like go back to those tutorials when I just needed reinforcement. I completely understand learning by teaching. As a clinician, I had to teach students, and I did several presentations, so I understand that concept that you get better at what you need to learn by doing it and really knowing it, and then teaching it to others, and kind of being prepared to answer some of the hard questions that come out of students sometimes when you're teaching. But
This is Eddie.
I will tell you that it's not necessarily always comfortable to teach something that you don't feel really good at
Sure.
or understanding.
Eddie, you had a comment?
Yeah, I forgot. One of the things that I utilized was the audio. I had several apps that I can convert the PDF into audio, and I listen to it on the train, listen to it driving, listen to it shopping, just everywhere. Just listening the books that I had on PDF really helped me out a lot to visualize and remember things.
Yeah, people have been using audiobooks more and more now, I guess. So yeah, that's a new evolution.
Hey,
I'd like
I was
to,
just gonna say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, well, sorry, this is Vita. So I mean, I like to look at prep questions for exams and things, or books that are driven by exams and scenarios where even if I don't know, so it's not that I memorized everything, but if I go into that and I take my best guess and find where my weaknesses are, then it gives me more motivation to go back. It's really trial and error, and I don't mind and rather learn from someone else's errors if possible, but if not, I'll make my own errors as well. That's it for me.
Oh, and I was just gonna say, I learn anyway, just so that I'm focused. So that's kind of. But I wanted to say regarding what the person prior to the last person said. When it comes to this concept of teaching or leading a presentation, and let's say you didn't used to know the material, well, what I find is in between the time you've been assigned the presentation and when you give it, if you just get deep into it and understand it, then to me it drives it home. Like you didn't used to know it, but you prepared yourself for it, and now you're pretty good with it. And when you get the presentation, I found that you really walk out of there gleaming with deeper knowledge. So while I concur with what the previous person said, I think if you can somehow get in there deep and learn what you didn't used to know and then do the presentation, oh man, to me it's like golden. So just want to say that.
Yeah, there's actually a name for that. It's called the Feynman technique, I believe, Feynman, if I'm remembering that correctly. It's this guy, I think he's a scholar or whatnot, but he says that in order to learn something properly, you want to learn how to teach it. And the concept behind that is that as you prepare to teach it, you're going to uncover things that you never understood about it. So it will force you to learn those items better as you're preparing to teach it. All right. Any other person want to share? All right. I do see that Laura managed to join us. Hello, Laura.
Hi. Hi,
How are you doing?
Sorry, I thought it was 6:30, and then when I came to log in, I noticed it was 6.
Oh, no
So
worries.
hi.
Apologies for the confusion. It will be 6 every week, so just so you know. And I do want to know more about you, and I want everybody to know. So I'll go back to the introduction slide if you want to give us a quick overview of who you are, a fun fact about yourself, and share some information about your Agile experience and training.
Yeah, obviously, my name is Laura Aziz. Fun fact about me, I'm probably one of the oldest members in the PMI Chicagoland chapter. I've been a member since 2003. And that was the year I got certified as a PMP. Worked mainly in healthcare organizations all these years. We do not use Agile that much. It was never a priority. That's why I kind of never really went into it deeply. But last year with the pandemic and, being home, I had the opportunity to take a course that was actually supposed to be also a certification in SAFE, leading with SAFE. But I took it and I did not take the test. So that's my bad. I missed that opportunity. But when I saw the ad on the PMI website, I thought that might be an opportunity to revisit the topic and attempt to take the test. I am actually now doing coaching, so I'm not managing projects at this time. The last project I managed was in 2020. And I'm doing executive coaching. But Agile is a broad and applicable topic on so many levels. And that's why I feel there is value to pursue the certification.
Sure. All right. Thank you, Laura. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, let's pick it back up where we were. So this is kind of just something I threw together on how you would want a typical weekly meeting structure. So each meeting will encompass one or more topics from our domains. We can start off with like a group discussion, and then potentially you want to do like a recap from last week, which we can all do together. Then do important items, like what is it that is important from that domain that is in the exam content outline, any tips and tricks that you learned that you think everybody should know about, and any additional reading materials. So, take out a few topics from the domain that kind of spoke to you, present them, and, help share that knowledge so that everybody stays abreast of that knowledge. And typically in our past study groups, like we have used PowerPoints. I won't say that it's a mandate, but it's a fairly useful tool that everybody is familiar with and can use to share whatever they have on the topics. All right, and then we prepared this participants pledge. It's kind of enforces, our expectations and your responsibilities, and sets the guidelines as to how these study groups are going to run. So basically what you're saying is that you will make every effort to attend all sessions, participate actively in discussions, prepare to lead topic discussions as needed, and bring your expertise and knowledge to share. And you will trust that your peers attending the class are doing their best to do the same. Not to say that, these are difficult times, so somebody may get sick or have issues there where they can't bring their best, but everybody's doing their best to participate and discuss openly. And your expectation from me is that I provide a venue that is physical or virtual for collaboration, and help facilitate all of those discussions and put guardrails and guidelines around the discussion. So I'll help you guys frame all of your discussions in a way that's fruitful as well as factual, and kind of help you guys lead all of these discussions. I'll give you guys a second or so to kind of look through, absorb the information, ask any questions.
question to you is, and I didn't get a chance to read about it, how much safe aligns with the content, if that is a
So
question.
yeah, you're talking about safe, scaled, agile.
Scaled agile, yeah.
Okay, so which class did you take, Laura, for safe?
I took it with a company called ATC.
Okay, so I'll just give you what I know about SAFE. I do have a few SAFE certifications. So SAFE is Scaled Agile Framework. So that aligns towards how you would scale Agile in an organization. So when we talk about PMI ACP or CSM, or I think the other one was SCM that somebody else had, your general Scrum certifications or Agile certifications, you're talking about a team-based Agile approach. You're talking about, in generalized terms, leading a team of 8 or so people, having what they call a development team, and having a product owner and implementing some form of agile methodology in that way. SAFE talks about how you would, in an organization, lead agile initiatives with like 20 of those teams. How do you scale agile in an organization? And SAFE is one of a few different approaches. There's SAFE, there's Scrum of Scrums, there is, I think there's a few others, but even our discipline Agile is more of a framework that scales Agile. So all of these are competing frameworks with each other.
Yeah, I understand this piece, and actually I liked it because of that. I was not even totally aware of this, but it made so much sense, and I liked the content a lot, I would say. My question is how much you think there is overlap, and I think there will be some, but I don't know if you know how much overlap.
So SAFE has multiple trainings.
Yeah.
And first of all, the most basic of those is what SAFE Agilist, which only talks about basic Agile. It gives you an overview of how you would implement Agile. It gives you some basic information about Agile. The thing about PMI ACP is that it takes a bit more of a holistic view. We will study Agile, Lean, XP, Crystal, some of the older frameworks, and Kanban, and be able to kind of pick out which approaches each of these frameworks implements. So it's a little more holistic, a little more, and I think one more very important distinction, SAFE usually at the team level only talks about Scrum.
Yeah.
So they don't really talk that much about Kanban or XP or Crystal. They talk mainly about Scrum at the team level. And even when they scale it, they're implementing a flavor of Scrum at the higher level. So it's more wrapped around Scrum. The PMI ACP exam is all about the agile mindset. How do you approach problems if you're a true agilist, so to speak?
That's good. Good enough. Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
It.
All right. Any other questions right now? All right. On the next topic, I want to kind of get into some meat of these discussions. I prepared a list of references on what you guys will find important, and I'll go through some of those right now. The exam content outline, this is a must-have for anybody. So please download that first thing if you haven't already. It will list what the domains are. And just as a background, like I've done a lot of certifications, so I learned this through trial and error, but every exam, every certification exam that you take, almost every exam, will have an exam content outline that they offer. So this will give you the guidelines as to what that company is testing you on. So this is that document. This is going to tell you the scope of the exam. What are those topics? And it's split across domains. So I'll go through it in a little bit and walk you through what they're talking about. Exam reference materials, there's a list of references that PMI has published to say that, hey, if you read through all of these books, you'll know how to do the exam, but these are like 12 very thick books. So I would strongly suggest against reading all 12 of these books, but it's a good reference guide if you ever were curious about Agile or wanted to learn more. So an unofficial recommendation, this is the book I use to study. This is Mike Griffith's PMI ACP study guide. And I have it right here. And Mike Griffith himself had a big hand in preparing in helping PMI itself get the ACP program up and running. So this is his book that he's written, and he follows the domain, the exam content outline, like linearly, very one-to-one. So it's a pretty easy book to follow. Of course, I'm not mandating that you have to buy this book to pass the exam, but that is the sole book I used, and I found it very easy to follow. I would be curious to hear what you guys are using and how much success you guys are getting out of it. But
yeah, I'm using the actual same book too. And I actually know on Amazon, he has the flashcards that go with the book. So what I like to do is I like to read a section, and then just to make sure I understand it, I'll use those same note cards, and then there'll be questions on there, and you kind of just quiz yourself very, very frequent. So it kind of like solidifies, the knowledge that you were just reading.
makes sense. Thank you, David.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, and then a couple of other documents, the official Scrum guide. Scrum is, of course, the most widely practiced Agile framework. It has a guide that kind of tells you how you would implement Scrum. And this is the link to the official guide. It's a good document to kind of read through and follow. And then you've got the Agile Manifesto, which again is the formal writing of Agile. How they said that we're gonna be Agile. One thing I want to show you guys, if I am able to browse to that page fairly easily. So one of the topics like I found interesting as I read through, the PMI ACP exam and all, is that technically the Agile Manifesto was written after a lot of Agile practices were already in place. So I think the Agile Manifesto was written like in 2001, and Scrum was formalized in 1993, something like that. So the point being that even though there were multiple different people implementing Agile in different ways, and they called it different things, Agile was just when they formalized the practices and said, hey, all of these people, whether they're implementing Crystal, Scrum, or something else, all of us are being Agile. And at least Mike Griffith in his book takes it even further back and says that all of these practices kind of stem from Lean, which was something that Toyota implemented. And there's a very nice drawing in this book. I can't seem to find it right now. I'll try to look it for you guys for next week. It kind of tells you, you know, what's a superset of what and whatnot. So it'll tell you that Lean is actually the father of all of these practices, and Agile is part of it, Scrum being a part of Agile, and so on and so forth. So I'll try to look for that diagram. And yes, you will get a copy of the slide deck.
Yeah, I think that the visual you're talking about too is like Kanban blended into the Agile circle.
Exactly,
And then
yes.
it fell into the Lean circle too. Yeah, that's a good visualization. It's a good book to get. So I recommend everybody get it.
Absolutely. All right, so on that note, let me look through some of these references that I talked about. And actually, as I'm here, I was just gonna say, I did share with you guys the sign-up sheet. I sent you guys an email right before this meeting, so you guys should have that in your inbox. And I see Charles has picked up a topic, so I recommend everybody go in and pick up your topics that you want to lead, so that we can, you know, get this show on the road.
Refinance literature starts in 10 minutes.
All right, now give me 1 second. Sometimes these pinning of these things does not work best. All right. Let's go to, yeah, this was the one I think. Exam content outline. Like I stated, the most important document that I would consider for you guys for now. So these are the domains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And as you read through this document, you know, this is just the main stuff, but it breaks down each of the domains into tasks. So as you read through those, you're going to have an idea of what exactly it is that you're breaking it down into. Servant leadership, etc., etc. It's a good 23-page document, so it does have a good amount of detail. Domain 2, value-driven delivery. How do you define positive value? How do you avoid potential downsides? Prioritization, etc., etc. All right, and then stakeholder engagement. How do you keep stakeholders engaged in an agile environment? You understand their needs, ensure involvement, manage their expectations. And then next, team performance. How do you ensure your team is performing up to their ability? Adaptive planning. Problem detection and resolution. Continuous improvement. All right, so familiarize yourselves with this document because that is kind of the format that we want to follow here as well. So it would be good to kind of ensure that you guys understand the topics and are covering them as you're leading the discussions.
Excuse me, this is Jim. Saad, did you say that you just sent another email with that document? Or was it on your original email?
I stated that I sent an email that shared a link to the sign-up sheet. Did you get access to the sign-up sheet?
No, I haven't received an email from you.
Okay.
Was it today?
It was today, right before this meeting.
Yeah, I did not receive. I checked my spam at least.
Okay.
At my, yeah.
So I'm assuming that Charles, you did, right?
Let's see, the
Yes, I
one
did receive it.
have-
I did receive it, and I would say if I had to estimate, it was maybe an hour or so before the class. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw it. Maybe 2 hours. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got it based on how many people are signed up. But I'll send it to you
It was
again, Jim.
5 minutes before class.
5 minutes before class. Yeah.
7:03. I have here one. 7:03. No, that's
Okay, well, my sense of time is off. Sorry.
Yeah, I just found it and I signed up.
Okay. And technically, Jim, there are only 2 topics left: Agile principles and continuous improvement. Do you want to pick one?
Hang on, I'm sorry.
Jim, I
Um,
don't see an email with your name on it from that time, so Saad may have missed it, but quick, before you only have one choice.
Okay, so I guess I will take the first one.
Oh, jump in.
All right,
you know.
and let me see.
I'll take anything left over. I don't mind. I don't have a problem. You know, they are all interesting topics.
Hang on one second.
Here, I have it open here.
Yeah, Jim, you're there.
Yeah, I looked at
Yeah.
my work email. It came from you, son?
Yeah, and it's probably not like an email, but just notice that you have been shared this document with. Could have gone in spam as well, since it's work related. Or sorry, yeah, it's since it's work email. I wonder if they kind of. Laura, you're getting the last one by
I'm
default.
getting the continuous improvement.
The reason why it could easily spam out is because it has a do not reply type of thing prior to the domain. So that's an easy identifier for potential spam or whatever. So, and some email systems may even take it and do other things with it beyond going to spam. So maybe his server is one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did receive the original emails.
Yeah.
Through my
yeah.
I think both my email and my work email. So I don't know what's going on.
It could still be
Anywho,
the vehicle it was used, because it's a notice, it's an automated notice. Anyway, so I can also do this. Just give you the link. Not that you need it anymore. Yeah, there you are. All right. I sent you a link. Maybe you'll get that and be able to use it. But anyway, I guess crisis or averted at this point. You've got you signed up for something. So we should be good to go.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's look at a couple of other things. What do we want to look at? Okay. So this is an overview of the ACP certification, why earn an Agile certification, etc., etc. All of this information is on the PMI website. Here's some eligibility requirements. You need training in Agile practices, 21 contact hours, 1,500 hours working on Agile project teams. And then, of course, you maintain the certification. So for those new to PMI or their concept of certification, there's 2 main differentiators. Like PMI wants you to, when they certify you on some of these topics, they want to ensure that you have experience in it. So their certification doesn't mean that PMI trained you on something. They're saying that you took a test that shows that not only are you able to have that knowledge, but have also had experience in it? And then additionally, they're going to make you maintain that PDU by doing something within that field for every 3 years. So in that way, once you have that certification, it's not like, hey, I got that certification 10 years ago and I have no idea what it was. No, you've been keeping up with that knowledge as time goes on. All right. Then what else? So here's, all right, this is an interesting document also on the PMI website. It's good to go through, especially if you want to just get a high level overview of Agile project management. So they talk about the Agile Manifesto and the role it plays, and then it is talking about and mentioning Scrum, XP, Lean, and test-driven development. So browse through this document. It's also on the PMI website. And then a couple of other links that I gave you guys. All right, so Agile Manifesto. So this is, even though it's kind of, Agile came later than Scrum, but it's a holistic view of all of these practices. So that's why it's important to know what it means to be Agile. So what they say is we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others to do it. Through this work, we have come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value in the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. So the Agile Manifesto and the Agile practices in general, what they're kind of trying to emphasize is that the old ways of delivering projects and products is not something that's working. And that's why they want people talking to each other more than using tools. They want to show actual software instead of working on documentation and business requirements for months and months. And they want to talk about customer collaboration, i.e., it's not that the customer told you something once in that first initial meeting, went away, and then after 8 months, you kind of give them what you develop. No, you in Agile, you want the customer with you all the time. So they're collaborating and responding to change over following a plan. Like one of the pitfalls or black eyes that we get in traditional project management is whenever somebody comes out with saying, oh, this is not how I wanted it, the first gut reaction of anybody on the project team is to say that, oh, this is a change order. But Agile kind of emphasizes that you want to expect change. So even though you had a plan, that's great, but the customer expects something different from, let's say, what you understood. So now you want to change and pivot, and Agile allows that. So anyway, we'll learn more about that in the upcoming 8 or so weeks. But here are the signatories of who all wrote and signed this document. And all of these individuals, either individually or collectively in collaboration with one other, were kind of founders of one or more of these practices like Crystal, XP, Kanban, Scrum. I think the most popular being Scrum was written by these two gentlemen, Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland. So from the Agile Manifesto, then it delves into the principles of Agile software. So you'd want to kind of read through these as well. I think there are 12 of these. And like I stated before, here's the Scrum guide. You'd probably want to download it in PDF, but this is the Scrum guide that Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber wrote out. For those of you who already have the CSM or another variation or have been implementing Scrum, Scrum is a fairly easy, simple implementation to understand that also gives you a good overview of Agile. All right. So those are a few of the links. Let me see. All right. Yeah. So I was kind of just Googling before this meeting. So if you look at, the first paper on Scrum appeared in Harvard Business Review in '86, actually. Whereas Agile was, I believe, 2001. Yeah, it's copyright 2001 is when they wrote it out formally. And that's what you learn about most of these practices. Crystal was there before as well, and so on and so forth. Let me look through. Okay, here's the PMI ACP exam reference materials I was talking about. So there's a good amount of, I don't know, 12, 16 books that are fairly heavy. So if you ever wanted to get more information on it, for sure, read through it. But I don't know, it probably won't be the most effective way to prepare for the exam. And this is the link for the exam content outline, an informational flyer, and ACP presentation, all of which I'm sharing right now. This is like the ACP presentation, another document, and the exam content outline. My Amazon account where I bought the PMI ACP book in May 29, 2018. And all right, there you go. No. Jim, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if anyone in the group has had any success with some of the LinkedIn learning tools that are out there.
Good question.
I have not actually.
You have not had success, or you have not tried them at all?
Oh yeah, good point. No, I have not tried them yet. I found the book to be really helpful.
I also have this book.
Oh, who's the author there?
This is J. Ashley Hunt.
Okay. And you like it? You would recommend it?
I like having multiple sources of information, and so I have both books.
Okay. Are they following the same sort of route, like same guideline, or is the chapter layout different?
The layout is a bit different in Hunt's book, but she follows the guide, like you said, the outline, the exam outline, but she just structured it differently, so it flows a bit different.
Okay.
But she also has a practice tests with it and flashcards, so it's kind of good.
Okay. So Jim, the only anecdote of information I can pass on to answer some of your question, like I've found the LinkedIn learnings. I haven't done anything from an Agile perspective, but in general, the LinkedIn trainings seem to be reputable. It's not like they're letting anybody and everybody, kind of present and make a course out of stuff. So there's some level of scrutiny going on there.
And I also have taken several LinkedIn courses. They have some very enthusiastic, informative presenters. And so a great learning, it's a great learning experience.
Great. All right. Thank you.
All right, so let me get back to our presentation, of which we have kind of gone through all of the information. We're at the last topic. So let's just jump back in. All right. So next week, of course, when we start talking, we will have our official sessions framed according to, the signups that you guys did. So I will be expecting you guys to lead the session. My talking part will be much minimal moving on from next week. I'll help you guys kind of put guardrails around the discussions, but I expect everybody to kind of not only lead the discussion, but also participate in the discussion so that let's say there's a topic that somebody missed or you found more important, or there's some anecdote of information that you ran into as you're going through studying. Let's share, collaborate, and make these sessions successful. Sign up sheet has been sent, and you guys are extremely enthusiastic people, and you have filled that sign up sheet. So I'm fairly happy with that outcome. We don't have to worry about that. Next week, we're gonna pick this back up and pick it up running.
So if we use
Okay,
power,
so-
go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
So as the guinea pig here and the first one up, so our sessions are for an hour and a half, correct? Am I expected to be teaching the full hour and a half? And should I be teaching the entire chapter, or just important areas of knowledge, items for knowledge areas, or maybe focus on tips and tricks, or how do you want to focus it?
Yeah, so I do want you to kind of target getting that whole hour and a half covered. I expect us to do like 20-minute recap of last week. Somebody might pick up a topic or general questions that we can toss around for the first, let's say, 20 minutes or so, but plan to cover at least an hour with your material. However you choose to structure that hour is kind of up to you, but some of the recommendations, like pick valuable topics. You may run into a domain that's so meaty and heavy in content that you can't cover it in the hour, but in which case you want to pick up the most important tips and tricks. And some people, even what they've done in some of our past sessions is they didn't do a training or a session. They came to class with sample questions, and everybody just did sample questions for the hour, which is fine as well, as long as you bring enough questions to cover a good hour. You could also do a combination of both. You can have some material, some questions, some sample questions, so that everybody's talking through them.
Okay. David, I think you were about to ask a question about PowerPoint.
Sorry, that was actually me, Vitas. Sorry,
Oh,
Jim, but no, it was the same question you had, even though you are the first to bat here. But yeah, I mean, basically trying to generate some dialogue and discussions along the way, but trying to keep us on point in so it's not 10 minutes of content, it's not 2 hours of content to be covered in an hour and a half, but opportunities for dialogues. But and thanks, Saad, for mentioning, I mean, actually a recap too. So that's probably a good way for us to remember week to week, and or bring back something that we learned since the last time we met. So that was
Right.
my question. And whether we use PowerPoint or Google Docs or something, I mean, it's probably a visual here. But if, again, the questions are probably, like I said, when I introduce myself, I mean, going through questions, and even if I don't have the right answer, then it's an opportunity to discuss why, something is a better answer, et cetera. So that's it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I purposely like kick off the sessions with saying that, hey, let's do a recap, any questions and all. But there will be occasions when nobody has questions, in which case the recap time will go shorter. But yeah, we'll kind of remember to do those recaps together and bring your questions and discuss. Or maybe you want to just share that, hey, last time when over the last week, as I studied domain number 1, this is what I found out. I thought it might be helpful for everybody, so on and so forth.
I have a quick question. I know you want everyone to lead a separate chapter, but is it possible for us to recruit some of our fellow team members to assist with teaching that section? Like if, let's just say, Jim wants to cover the PowerPoint to a certain point and he wants someone else to run the question section, or, you know, something like that. Would you like for us to collaborate, or you just want us to stick to our chapter?
Yeah, I definitely won't put that level of guardrails around it. If you guys think that, hey, this is an idea I have that will make it fruitful, by all means, contact each other, make friends, and, you know, make that happen. I think that's fine as long as both of you guys agree and it, you know, it's helpful for everybody. I have no, I'm not going to object to any new ideas that come up with it. Jim is
And
curious
also,
if you're helping him do half of his session.
just remember the overall goal, the intent, the reason why you all are here. You know, yes, do your presentations, but don't focus so much on the presenting portion as much as you all are trying to ensure at the end of the day, you have understanding of the material. And what Saad is saying is, yes, you know, be creative, but please don't get don't get boggled down into the presentation format that you forget your overall goal for this pilot study session.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. That's a good kind of pulling us back into the high level. Look at the forest from the trees. You're absolutely right. Like, even if it's, if you come in with a collection of links and say, hey, let's look at all of these items that I saw in Google, that works too, as long as it's fulfilling the purpose of conveying that domain information to everybody. Any other questions?
I noticed this is Vitas again. So Saad, are we going to be recording each of these as something we can recap ourselves? And hopefully, of course, we are expected to be here in person, but to review on our own.
So I know we're going to be recording these, and these are getting recorded on the cloud. Cynthia, do you know, was there an intent to distribute these videos?
No, there was not initially an intent. Since this is the first pilot, we were actually trying to keep it to a small audience for analyzing, evaluating for lessons learned as we move forward. If the group really wants it, I can find out whether or not it would be okay to release it to the team.
Okay.
So I'll take that as a to-do if that's the consensus of the team that you would like to have the recordings made available to you. So what is your pleasure?
I don't have issue with that. Again, we're probably not sharing with anyone that's not part of our group. But whichever way, you know, everyone else decides, I'm okay with that too. Again, there may be a case where someone's sick or someone's out of, and they may not be in attendance, but they could still learn from watching a video after the fact over.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Andrea's got a thumbs up. So I guess Cynthia can explore whether or not that can happen. The only thing I want to kind of share is that in our PMP group, we haven't done recordings, but we do disseminate the information, like in terms of the PowerPoints and all. And even that serves the purpose of doing the recap. So regardless of Cynthia's answer, I would just say, don't feel discouraged about, emergencies that might occur.
Or trips to Mexico.
Was that Jim?
Or trips to Mexico.
Right.
During
All right, what else you got? What else can we help with?
I'm looking on Amazon, and Mike Griffith's book comes with a workbook. There is another complimentary, I guess, workbook. Have you tried it? It says 50, it has 50 key topics that are part of the exam. 50 key topics you need to know to pass the exam.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of advantages at this point. Even Mike Griffiths has been writing multiple books now. When I gave the exam, I only had the one book. I found that sufficient, though, to be honest, Laura, just the book in itself. But I know, who was it? David, right? David did find the flashcards to be useful just based upon how he is studying them. So the workbook could be useful for you if you're kind of more of a hands-on person.
I think it will be useful not just for the exam, but probably for using these tools later on in real life. Because
Oh, is it? Yeah, I don't even know what this workbook thingy is.
Yeah, it looks like tools, like templates of material to be used, and then probably suggestions on how to use them.
Yeah, it could be useful for sure. I'd have to look at Amazon and see what's going on. Other questions?
I don't have a question, but I want to revise my fun fact if I can.
Yeah.
Okay, I am now a member of PMI Chicagoland chapter.
Very nice, even though you're in the Bahamas.
Yes, after speaking to Miss Cynthia, I researched it and I was like, I have to be a part of the community.
So now
Yes.
you get the best of both worlds. You're part of PMI Chicagoland, but you don't have to deal with the snow that everybody else is having to deal with.
Yes, exactly. But me and Miss Cynthia working out how we could exchange places. So she's gonna come to the Bahamas and I'm gonna enjoy
That's
the
right.
snow
I
for a
surely
change.
am.
Yeah,
Field trip for the group.
right.
That will work for me. Aside, Sasmita is on the line also.
Okay. Hi,
So you
Susmita.
might want to give her a chance to. She was giving me some advice for the video, so maybe she can just go ahead and give direction
Oh, sure.
and speak if you don't
Absolutely.
mind.
Susmita, yeah. Hello.
Hi, Sad. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Chicagoland chapter and our first pilot ACP study group. Truly excited to be part of this group. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Susmita and I'm VP of Professional Development. And I heard about the recording. Yes, we can record the session as long as group is comfortable, they are in agreement. And Sad, what you can do, you can record the session in your personal drive and share the recording with the group.
Okay. Okay, this one I know when I started the session, I pushed it to the cloud. So it's gonna be somewhere on the cloud, but moving forward, I can record it on my local and then I'll share it with everybody.
Yes, not only the recording, even the chat also, if you want to record, you can, and you can save it in your personal folder. and share with the group.
Okay, sounds good. So
Mhm.
we'll keep it within our group, within ourselves, and as long as nobody makes fun of my voice later on, we're all good. Thank you, Susmita.
You are very welcome.
All right, guys.
Is there continuing education credit for that? I forgot to look into it.
For this one,
Yeah, for the sessions, these 8 sessions.
I don't think these count as education sessions. Cynthia, do you know?
No, they do not. Study sessions do not count for any PDUs.
Yeah.
In fact, at this point, you are not eligible for applying any PDU against your Agile account or Agile certification until you cross the threshold for the certification.
No, no, I was talking about the PMP, not about Agile.
No, we do still study groups do not count for any
Okay.
PDUs.
Yeah, these are not really like formal trainings per se,
Right.
and that's kind of
It's a
where the
supplemental
distinction
help
is.
for
Yeah.
you.
Any other questions?
When can I come to the Bahamas?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Nice weather.
All right. If there's nothing else, thank you all for participating. I feel really good about this group. We've got good participation. We've got signups already before the first session ending. So you guys are enthusiastic and I'm kind of right there with you. So looking forward to how next week and the 7 following weeks look like. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.
Have a
Thanks,
good evening.
everyone. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good
Bye.
night.
And thank
Good night,
you.
Till next
Good night,
week.
everybody.
Good night.
See you next week. Good night.
Okay, good night.